I don't think comics will be around in the next 10 years, but I believe manga will still be flourishing. These videos are to explain why I've lost interest in comics and have let manga take its place. One of my biggest problems with comics is that nothing ever happens. I'm mostly talking about DC and Marvel comics. For the most part, comics aren't allowed to make any big changes to the characters or the universe, let alone create new characters. The only decent character Marvel has come up with in the past 10 years is Miles Morales, although Miles is very similar to Spider-Man. The only other decent character from Marvel in the past 10 years is Thor. Wow. Thanks. Their newest character is Amulet, although the only thing I could find out about the character is that he's Muslim, so I guess they just made him to check a box. Let's see what DC has for new characters in the last decade. They have Shazam's family, they have Green Lantern, but this time it's a girl. Oh, and Superman, but he's from...
Because it comes from China. It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate.
Okay, so the characters from DC and Marvel seem to either only exist for diversity's sake, or be the same hero but with someone else behind the mask. Let's look at some manga characters. Deku, a hero learning how to use ultimate strength. All Might, the hero that gave Deku that power. Bakugo, a hero with the ability to manipulate explosions. Ochako, a hero that can control gravity. Endeavor, a hero that can control flames. Todoroki, Endeavor's son that can both control flame and ice. Lita, a hero with super speed. Mineta, a hero that grows sticky balls that he can throw at enemies to stop them. Momo, a hero that can create things from her body. And Yuga Aoyama, a hero that can shoot lasers out of his belly button. Not only does manga have more varied characters, all of those characters came out of one manga, My Hero Academia. And that's not even close to all of the characters. I haven't even mentioned the villains. One Piece, the best-selling manga, introduces a new character just about every week. Speaking of One Piece, the greatest thing about manga is it's written by the person that created it. One Piece has been written by Oda-san on just about a weekly basis since 1997. Batman has had hundreds of different writers. If Oda-san wanted to kill off his main character, Luffy, and have Chopper become king of the pirates, he can do that. If whoever's writing Batman this week wants to kill Batman and have someone else take his place, he has to get permission from about 20 different people that will never let him do it unless he brings them back from some convoluted plot that makes no sense. Now, are they going to kill the main character of One Piece? Probably not. But it still stands to reason that if the creator wanted to do that, he created it, so he can do whatever he wants. The great Stan Lee said, "Every comic is someone's first issue." This is not a bad theory at the time, but clearly people want a continuing story. One Piece is only 20 years old, and it's coming close to outselling Batman, which has been going on since 1939. Batman has 60 years on One Piece, and is only 44 million copies ahead. As far as a continuing story, One Piece is the best-selling comic. Having every issue cater to new readers severely stifles creativity. DC and Marvel comics also are extremely overpriced, and constantly expect you to buy more and more comics. An average comic is $4 and is about 20 pages, interrupted with several full-page ads. Not to mention, if you have a continuing story, they expect you to buy not only the comic you're reading, but several others that flesh out the story, or just straight up tell the rest of the story, so you have to buy the other comics. A $10 manga, which costs about 500 yen in Japan, that's about $5, is about 200 pages on average. It usually includes some type of bonus content, and the only ads are for other manga and are at the very end of the book. DC Comics constantly have some event where all the different DC Comics tie together and you have to buy multiple issues from multiple artists in order to understand what's going on. A single manga tells a full story by one artist. DC Comics can't even tell a single continuing story without involving 20 different writers. Then there's the train wreck of Trinity War, which is where I stopped buying comics. DC Comics has been doing this for a long time, as well as Marvel. They'll have some type of big event that involves every hero from the universe, and you have to buy every single comic in order to understand what's going on. In 2013, they had the Trinity War, where it was the Justice League versus a big group of villains. So, you can't just read the Trinity War, you have to read the prologue to the Trinity War, which was 2 issues of Justice League. Then you have your core issues, which is the main story, which is Trinity of Sin, Issue 1, Justice League number 22, Justice League of America number 6, Justice League Dark number 22, Justice League of America number 7, Justice League Dark number 23, and Justice League number 23. Yes, they have 3 different Justice League comics, and you have to buy all 3 of them to know what's going on. And then you have tie-ins. Trinity of Sin number 2 and 3, Trinity of Sin the Phantom Stranger number 11, and Constantine number 5. So that's all you need for the main story and the tie-ins. You may be thinking, well, that's not too bad. Well, keep in mind, that was just the first part. The Trinity War was just the beginning. Then you go into Forever Evil, where the villains basically took over. And for a month, they had Villains Month, where instead of having a regular Batman comic or a regular Superman comic, they would have one of the villains take its place instead. It wasn't a bad idea, but there were 52 different issues. All of them came in a basic, regular cover, and then some of them had a special cover that was like holographic, and that was an extra couple of bucks. And all of them came out in a month. So there was 52 issues that were connected to the Trinity War that you now had to buy, if you wanted to completely know what was going on. After that, they had Forever Evil, which was 7 issues. But you can't just read Forever Evil. They also had Blight, which was Constantine 9 through 12, Justice League Dark 24 through 29, Trinity of Sin 6 through 9, Trinity of Sin the Phantom Stranger 14 through 17. Then they had the crossovers. Justice League 24 through 30, Justice League of America 8 through 14, Suicide Squad 24 through 30, and then they had the spin-offs. Forever Evil Argus number 1 through 6, Forever Evil Arkham War 1 through 6, Forever Evil Rogues Rebellion 1 through 6. So that's about 100 different comics that you had to collect if you wanted the full Forever Evil and Trinity War story, if you wanted everything fully fleshed out. And that doesn't even get into all the variant covers. In addition to buying the regular comics, they also have special editions and special covers. Sometimes they cost more, sometimes they can cost up to $100 just for having a different cover. And that was the point that I had had enough of comic. It became apparent DC was not trying to tell a good story, but just sell comics. Same with Marvel. Another problem is that anytime DC and Marvel can just reboot everything and the story and all the characters, and everything just resets. Seems like the Punisher can never get more than 12 issues into a new comic before it gets cancelled and rebooted. Comics in general just seem to be very manipulative, and the breaking point for me was the marriage of Batman and Catwoman. This seems obvious. Batman and Catwoman have always seemed like they were going to end up together. How has this not been done already? At least it's something new that can actually happen instead of just fighting the same villain every week and resetting the universe over and over. Tom King, the writer of Batman at the time, told fans of Batman that Catwoman and Batman would be married in his comic. He had been teasing it and building it up for almost a year. As someone that hadn't bought DC Comics in years, it piqued my interest. They even got a bunch of different artists to draw covers to mark the special occasion. I don't know, from that cover and from what the writer has been saying, definitely seems like they're getting married. Oh wait, never mind, Catwoman backed out at the last second. Cool. What a waste of fucking time. If I remember correctly, they didn't get married because Bane told Catwoman, "Hey, you better not," or some dumb shit like that. People were rightly outraged, and Tom King was like, "No, trust me guys, they're totally getting married. Just keep reading, trust me guys, it's totally gonna happen." And it did. 35 issues later, after he'd already promised it to happen in issue 50. Yeah, I'm not wasting my money on any bait and switch bullshit like that again. After that, I decided never to buy another comic again. The universe will probably get reset again soon anyways, and they won't be married anymore. Let's see what's currently happening in the Batman comic. Oh, cool. He's fighting Joker for the 100th fucking time. A good ending can make or break a story, and when you're not allowed to end comics, and you can't make the character die permanently, and you can't create new characters, what's left? The same superheroes fighting the same villains with no consequences over and over again. I think I'll stick with manga, where it's one artist's visions that they see through to the end. If you're curious what DC and Marvel comics I do like, it's the ones where stuff actually happens. The Dark Knight Returns is about when Batman gets old and retires, The Killing Joke is about Batgirl getting crippled by the Joker, A Death in the Family is about Robin getting killed by the Joker. Those are all from the 80s, so it's not looking good for comics these days. And if you're wondering why I speak so highly about One Piece and you think it's repetitive or goes on too long, One Piece is constantly telling a new story. Every island they go to ends differently and it's unpredictable. Not to mention, they've actually had very important characters die, and there's no magical Lazarus pit to bring them back. One Piece is actually one island away from reaching the end, and Oda-san himself said he plans on wrapping the story up in the next 5 years. Good stories actually have endings.